Some fish are beautiful because of evolution, and others, well, evolution might have called in sick that day. Welcome to the ugliest fish tier list, where we celebrate the misfits, the mutants, and the absolute visual crimes that still somehow swim their way into our hearts and aquariums. From puffy-eyed goldfish to prehistoric nightmares, these are the fish that prove love really is blind and sometimes just nearsighted. Let's get ugly. The Humphead Glassfish looks like what would happen if evolution left a project halfway done and just never came back to finish it. Its head bulges in a way that makes you want to pat it and say, "You're doing your best, buddy. You're doing your best." These fish are technically fascinating. They're part of the Parambassus genus and can live in both fresh and brackish water, thriving in Southeast Asian rivers. Their transparent bodies are wild to look at. You can literally see their bones and their organs through their scales, which is cool in a biology class specimen kind of way, but not exactly flattering. That lump on their head, well, it's mostly fatty tissue, not a sign of disease. It's just their built-in bad haircut. Listen, we've all had one. They're peaceful schooling fish that actually do really well in community tanks, which makes them even more lovable despite those awkward looks. They like soft, slightly brackish water with gentle flow and dim light. Feed them small live or frozen foods and they'll quietly go about their business looking like unfinished Pokemon. You can't hate them. They've got that underdog charm, like the ugly friend in every 2000s teen movie who ends up being the sweetest one. You know, that's why they sit in F tier. Not because they're bad fish, but because no amount of good lighting is saving that forehead. Still, they're the kind of ugly you root for. Now, the Eye Goldfish is proof that sometimes human breeding programs go too far. This fish looks like it's permanently recovering from an allergic reaction. Those fluid-filled sacs under its eyes are its signature feature. Fragile balloon-like bubbles that sway with every movement. They're delicate to the point of absurdity. A single bump into decor or other fish can pop those little sacs, which is both gross and sad. Despite their impractical design, bubble eyes are surprisingly peaceful and pretty easygoing. They prefer calm water, no sharp objects, and I say that again here, no sharp objects, and minimal current so that their face bags don't snag on anything. Like other fancy goldfish, they thrive in cooler water and are happiest in groups of their own kind. Their poor vision means you need to hand feed or spot feed them to make sure that they eat. Watching them waddle around the tank like floating teardrops is equal parts adorable and pretty tragic. The irony is that the very feature that makes them famous is also the reason that most hobbyists avoid them. Still, there is something endearing about their slow, determined swimming and clueless expressions. A fish that's ugly, impractical, and kind of lovable. The ultimate contradiction. A tier, because despite all logic, they've become an icon. People love them because they're weird. It's ugly perfection. Now, the Flowerhorn Cichlid is a walking personality disorder with scales, like your ex-girlfriend. You either think it's the coolest fish ever made or the aquatic equivalent of a bad tattoo. That giant lump on its forehead, the nuchal hump, is what defines it. Selective breeding pushed it to cartoonish extremes, and now you got a fish that looks like it's storing spare change in its head. Personality-wise, they're just as bold, hyperactive, aggressive, and always ready to pick a fight. But if you looked like that, wouldn't you too? Listen, they are intelligent and they're very interactive though. They'll follow your finger, beg for food, and rearrange the tank just to prove a point. Now, origin-wise, flowerhorns are man-made hybrids, mostly derived from Amphilophus and the Vieja species. They don't exist in the wild, and that means every flowerhorn is a statement piece, flashy, colorful, and unapologetically extra. Their scales shimmer with blues and reds and golds, but that doesn't save them from being objectively odd-looking. They're messy eaters, they produce a ton of waste, and they'll absolutely terrorize any tank mate that is not them. It's all about power and presence, the gym bro of the fish world. A tier, because even though they're ugly, they own it. They got charisma, confidence, and chaos. Like a narcissist with a forehead, they think they're beautiful. And maybe that's what makes them so iconic. The African butterfly fish looks like a prehistoric pancake that decided to take up flying lessons. Flat, winged fins, bug eyes that can scan the surface like a drone. It ain't pretty, but it's pretty cool. This fish looks like it hasn't changed in millions of years, which means nature looked at it once and said, yeah, that's cursed, but it'll work. They live entirely at the surface, waiting to ambush insects and small fish that come too close. Watching them eat is both creepy and fascinating. They snap forward like a mousetrap. And you'll need a tight lid because these fish can launch themselves out of their tank like it's their full-time job. They prefer calm water, dim lighting, and floating plants for cover, and while they look intimidating, they're peaceful towards tank mates that don't fit in their mouth. The best part? They glide across the water like tiny living aircrafts. It's the definition of ugly but awesome. They're not everyone's idea of attractive, but their behavior and their ancient lineage give them a unique charm. S tier, because even if it looks like a flying roach, it's the one you'd still keep just to say you own one. Listen, there's no polite way to say this one. The hairy puffer looks like a coconut with trauma. Covered in spiky filaments that look like whiskers gone rogue, this fish is both fascinating and unsettling. Native to fast-moving rivers in Southeast Asia, they're ambush predators with surprisingly sharp awareness. That hair isn't actual hair, but modified skin filaments that help them blend into rocky environments. They're smart, curious, and ridiculously expressive for a pufferfish. When they glare at you, oh, you're gonna feel it. Despite their intimidating looks, they're not overly aggressive either, more like cautious loners that don't trust easily. Give them a roomy tank, strong current, and plenty of structure to hide in, and they'll be good. They eat crustaceans, snails, and meaty foods using those tiny, powerful beaks to crunch through shells. And I gotta say, watching them hunt is mesmerizing and a little bit terrifying. They also inflate when threatened, turning into little spiky underwater balloons that scream, "Don't touch me!" They're ugly, sure, but they're also oddly charismatic. The kind of fish that commands attention without even trying. So, we're putting them in S tier. They're the perfect example of so ugly it's actually pretty freaking metal. If you keep one, you're officially the weird cool kid of the fish hobby. Now, the Gulpher Catfish is the embodiment of, oh, I ate my roommates. Native to the Amazon basin, this fish, Asterophysis batrachus, looks like a bloated eel that spent too much time at an all-you-can-eat buffet. Same, dude. Its entire personality revolves around eating anything that it can fit in its mouth, and its mouth is absurdly large. They can swallow prey almost as long as themselves, stretching their stomachs like they're auditioning for a horror movie. And when they're not hunting, they drift around looking lazy and smug, digesting their crimes in peace. Despite their terrifying diet, they're pretty calm if they're kept alone. They're solitary, slow-moving, and surprisingly easy to care for. They prefer soft, slightly acidic water around 78 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're not picky eaters, obviously. Feed them shrimp or fish or chunks of meat, and they're gonna stay happy. The catch? Anything you add to their tank becomes dinner, so no tank mates ever. They also produce huge amounts of waste, which means constant filtration and water changes. I'll say this, watching them eat is disturbing and fascinating all wrapped in one. They don't bite, they just open wide, inhale, and swallow like a vacuum, like a catfish Kirby. Or put them in E tier, because while they're not ugly in a tragic way, they've gone past unattractive and straight into living garbage disposal. You can't help but respect the dedication to gluttony. The giant gourami is what happens when a cute fish grows up and never stops. As juveniles, they're kind of adorable, round, friendly, full of personality, but give it a few years and they morph into these giant lumpy gray slabs with lips that look permanently disappointed. Adults can reach over 2 feet long and develop blunt, human-like faces that follow you around the room. It's unsettling, but in the best way. Now, despite their looks, they are intelligent and they can recognize their owners, even begging for food like dogs. They're also known to live for decades, which means that you're making a long-term commitment to that face. They're mostly herbivorous, happily munching on vegetables, pellets, and leafy greens, and they prefer calm, warm water around 78 degrees Fahrenheit, with large tanks and wide open swimming space. They're semi-aggressive, but they're manageable with the right tank mates. What's funny is how expressive they are. They really do seem to judge everything you do near the tank. They'll watch you with those big eyes and slightly open mouth, looking perpetually unimpressed. It's like owning an aquatic old man. A tier, because yes, they are ugly, but they've got so much personality that you end up loving them for it. The real catfish of the aquarium world. The violet goby looks like something that washed up during the Cretaceous period and just decided to stick around. Long, eel-like, and semi-transparent, it glows faintly purple under light, equal parts alien and beautiful. Most of the time, they're found in brackish water along the coasts of Central and South America. They can grow up to 20 inches long, yet they're gentle filter feeders that eat algae and find detritus. Despite their terrifying face, complete with fanged jaws and glassy eyes, they're shy and peaceful. People who keep them swear by their goofy charm. They'll sift through the substrate like oversized worms, occasionally looking up with that "did I do good?" expression. They need a long tank with sandy substrate, driftwood, and slightly salty water. Feed them sinking pellets, algae wafers, and blanched vegetables, and they're gonna do just fine. The main challenge is getting them enough food before the faster tank mates steal it. They're mostly blind, relying on scent and touch to find food, which explains why they look so confused all the time. While they might look like sewer monsters, there's something kind of adorable about them once you get used to it. C tier, because they're ugly, sure, but endearingly so. The kind of fish that grows on you, figuratively, thank God, not literally. Let's talk about the Asian tonguefish, which looks like a biology experiment gone wrong. It's a flattened, asymmetrical creature that lurks on the bottom of tanks, pretending to be sand. Its eyes are both on one side of its body, flounder style, and it has this pale, almost translucent skin that make it look unfinished. They're ambush predators that bury themselves until something small swims past, and then they lunge up jaws first, swallowing the prey whole. Like watching a rug come to life. They're found in Southeast Asian rivers and estuaries, often in brackish conditions. They're not aggressive towards the fish they can't eat, but they will inhale anything small enough to fit in their mouth. Shrimp, fry, even small tetras. Their diet in captivity should be mostly meaty foods like worms, fish, and shrimp. Lighting should be low, substrate soft and sandy, and tank mates chosen carefully. There is an eerie elegance to how they move, almost gliding through the water like a ghost. Most people take one look and either fall in love or swear off flounder-like fish forever. S tier, man. They're the hideous fish in the most captivating way. A living optical illusion that's equal parts unsettling and pretty stinking cool. The Chacha fish, or the frogmouth catfish, Chacha, is one of those fish that looks like it crawled straight out of a swamp horror movie. Flat, wide, and perpetually frowning, it spends most of its life buried in sand waiting to ambush prey. Its skin is mottled brown and gray, resembling muddy leaves, and its mouth, well, it looks big enough to fit a toddler's hand inside. Yeah, please don't test that. When something edible swims close, it opens those jaws like a vacuum, sucking in water and prey in one go. And despite their looks, they're fairly peaceful if they're kept alone or with fish that are too large to eat. They're slow-moving, quiet, and surprisingly hardy in captivity, and they're native to India and Bangladesh. They like soft, warm water with lots of hiding spots and low light. Feeding them is easy. They'll take frozen fish, shrimp, or live prey without hesitation. They're not social, but they're oddly charismatic despite that. They give me grumpy old man vibes who just minds his business. Because they're so rarely seen in the hobby, they're kind of a collector's item. They're ugly, yes, but weirdly endearing once you understand them. C tier, because they're fascinating and harmless, just not built for modeling careers. Now, the African lungfish is the definition of if it ain't broke, don't evolve. This fish has been around for nearly 400 million years and still looks like something that crawled out of a prehistoric puddle. It's long, eel-like, with thick, slimy skin and a face that can only be described as melting candle energy. Its claim to fame is the ability to breathe air. It literally has lungs and can survive months buried in mud during dry seasons by forming a mucus cocoon. That's right, this fish hibernates underground like a damp burrito. In aquariums, they're slow but shockingly interactive. They'll surface for air every few minutes and stare at you like they're plotting something, and then they'll lazily flop back into the bottom. They're carnivorous, feeding on worms, shrimp, and fish, and they'll bite hard if you get careless during feeding. They prefer warm water at 78 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit and a soft substrate. Though they're not picky about water chemistry, they've survived worse for like a millennia. Their prehistoric lineage gives them a durability that few fish can match, but also a face that only evolution could love. Watching one swim is like seeing time itself move in slow motion. B tier, because they're ancient, ugly, and perfect proof that survival beats aesthetics every time. They're ugly legends, not victims. The vampire tetra, Hydralycus scomberoidus, looks like someone gave a barracuda an overbite, dared to live with it. Native to the Amazon basin, it's known for its monstrous fangs, actual inch-long teeth that lock into the grooves in its skull when its mouth closes. Cool. Seeing one up close is both horrifying and mesmerizing. They're powerful predators, they're fast swimmers, and surprisingly shy despite those menacing looks. Like beast. They can grow over a foot long and need huge tanks with strong flow. Watching them eat is like witnessing an aquatic crime. They don't chew, they just grab, puncture, and swallow. In captivity, they usually feed on frozen fish and meaty foods, but some keepers manage to wean them into prepared diets. Their silver torpedo-shaped bodies reflect light beautifully, which makes their fangs stand out even more, as if they're proud of how unsettling they look. They're jumpy, prone to panic, and they will smash into glass if startled, which means that keeping them requires patience and dim lighting. E tier, because while they are fascinating, they're the kind of fish you admire from a distance. They're ugly in that nightmare biology way, not bad looking, just terrifying. Think vampire cosplay meets aquatic anxiety. The Amazon leaf fish, Monoceros polyacanthus, is nature's best impressionist. I mean, look at this thing. It looks exactly like a dead leaf. Brown, flat, veined, and even moves like one when drifting through the water. It's so good at pretending to be plant debris that other fish swim right up to it to inspect it, which usually ends with them disappearing into its mouth. I mean, the leaf fish's entire life strategy revolves around this one disguise. It hangs motionless, slightly tilted, fins twitching gently to mimic drifting, and then, in a blink, it expands its mouth and inhales prey whole. It's an ambush predator perfected by evolution, but definitely not winning beauty contests. We can find these guys in calm, tannin-stained Amazon backwaters, and they prefer soft, acidic water in captivity. They need subdued lighting and lots of cover to feel safe. Feeding them can be kind of a challenge. They'll often refuse anything that isn't alive, but once trained, they'll take on frozen foods. They're peaceful with fish that are too big to eat, but will swallow just about anything smaller than their head. Despite their eerie camouflage, they're not aggressive, they're just patient. And there's something mesmerizing about watching one float like a leaf, waiting for that right moment to strike. That being said, F tier. They're just too realistic. Are they cool? Yes. But are they pretty? Absolutely not. They're the fish equivalent of a jump scare. The freshwater stonefish, often called the freshwater lionfish or Synenkea vericosa, depending on the species mix, is equal parts fascinating and lethal. It's covered in bumpy rock-like skin that helps it blend perfectly in with the substrate. Hidden among gravel or rocks, it looks just like another stone until something unfortunate swims too close. Then it strikes. Its dorsal spines are venomous, capable of inflicting excruciating pain, and in some cases even killing small animals. So yeah, this fish can literally end you, and despite that, it's oddly calm, sitting still for hours like an underwater gargoyle. In aquariums, it needs a fine substrate, dim lighting, and careful tank mate selection. Meaning like no tank mates. It eats fish, shrimp, and anything small enough to fit in that cavernous mouth. It's not an active hunter, more of a patient one. I mean, ambush here is the name of the game. So yeah, the ugliness here isn't just appearance, it's attitude. That lumpy, venomous body is a warning sign that nature carved in it in 3D. Still, they have a strange primal beauty, a reminder that not everything designed to kill you's gotta look scary to succeed. We're gonna give them into B tier here. It's both hideous and hardcore. The beast from Beauty and the Beast, if the beast could actually sting you. Now, the four-eyed fish is the ultimate oddball. A surface-dwelling live-bearer from Central and South America with eyes literally split in half. Each eye has two pupils and two retinas, allowing it to see both above and below the waterline simultaneously. It looks constantly startled, like it just saw something it can't unsee. probably itself. The body's long and silver gray, shaped like a stretched out molly, and it spends its life cruising just below the surface. It's a social species, often found in groups near river mouths where fresh and salt water mix. They can tolerate brackish conditions and prefer open tanks with strong lighting and plenty of swimming space. They're easy to feed. Flakes, pellets, frozen foods all work fine, but they need clean water and a tight lid because they do be jumping. They're fascinating scientifically, but aesthetically, they're not winning any awards. Watching a group of them glide just under the surface, each eye staring in two directions, is both eerie and a little hypnotic. Males and females even have asymmetrical reproductive organs, which means lefties only mate with lefties and righties with righties. Nature really went off script with this one. C tier, because they're weird, wonderful, and not quite cute. The ultimate fish that's seen too much. And there it is, folks. The ultimate ranking of aquatic nightmares. From the prehistoric swamp lurkers to the balloon-eyed mutants we somehow decided to breed on purpose. Some of these fish are ugly in a tragic way, and some are ugly in a you just don't understand me kind of way. So tell me in the comments, which one do you secretly, which one do you love? Which one should have been banned by evolution? Drop your hot takes, like and subscribe for more chaotic fish rankings, and remember, in a world full of flower horns, be the humble humphead.